From the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., this is Rewind. This week, in the Truman Lounge, SiriusXM Radio hosted a live broadcast with 7 White House correspondents about the coverage of the presidential campaign.
It seems to me, sure, to be in some ways part and parcel of his difficulty, of the president's difficulty in forging those relationships. And I wonder if he wins a second term, are they going to have long memories and say, you know what, you didn't come help me, I was in a tough race.
He was crystal clear early on this cycle. He met with House Democrats and Senate Democrats and said, you know what, you're not getting my help this year.
University of Pennsylvania invited panelists to debate the role of fact-checkers in the 2012 presidential debates.
I think when we look back on this election, we will say this was the year of the fact-checker. This was the year that fact-checking really hit critical mass.
At a book wrap, John Perkins presented his newest work, Hoodwinked.
The economy isn't economics, it's politics. And yet politics is controlled by the big corporations. We must understand that we've moved into this new era where our governments are not the ones in control, it's the big corporations.
Perkins views this year's election as an ideological conflict.
I think what we're seeing today in this presidential race is a true clashing of ideas. I think in a way we're seeing a bigger philosophical difference than I've seen in most of my lifetime.
The president of Estonia spoke of the vision that made his tiny northern European country the international leader in e-government and cybersecurity.
Kids can and should learn to code as a way to think and as well as a foreign language at an early age. We do that now. First grade, you start learning coding in my country.
A nonprofit consumer health care advocacy group gave their perspective of the Republican versus the Democratic Party approach to health care.
Families purchasing their own health coverage would pay almost double out of pocket under Romney candidate care than they would under Obamacare. And while the number of uninsured Americans would be significantly reduced under Obamacare, they will be significantly increased under Romney candidate care.
The National Cancer Institute presented evidence of progress against cancer.
First is that there's been a slow, steady decline in overall cancer mortality rates, roughly 1% to 2% a year for 1 to 2 decades. And those declining mortality rates being the best single measure of how we're doing against cancer.
From the National Press Club, where news happens, this is Rewind. I'm Ken Gilio.